It's time for today's travel and cruise industry news. With the latest from travel and cruises around the world, here's your host, Chillie Falls.
Hey, good morning and welcome to Tuesday Travel and Cruise Industry Podcast on this, the 4th day of March 2025, brought to you by Will U.S., the owner of Scoot Around, and by Chillie's Cruises. This is an unscheduled show, unplanned, unscheduled, everything. This was going to be a day off. Two things happened. Number one, I had a bunch of stuff loaded for yesterday's show that I skipped, that I never used. So I wanted to get that out of the way. And secondly, I had one of my in-depth stories that I've been working on. I had it finished. So I said, well, here's a chance to make up another show that you missed and to bite the bullet, folks, and go back to doing lives with my mug on the screen. And yes, I still have to have oxygen. I don't like it. I don't like, I think it's a terrible look for me as far as image goes and the like. But for now, I'm going to do it. Again, I'm not happy about it, but I'm going to do it. I realize that has been causing some confusion with you guys. So we don't want to do that. All right, so I have started weaning myself a little from the oxygen. Now, I'm not up to where I can go an hour without it, but maybe in another couple days, I'll be able to do the intro without it. And you crawl before I can walk, but work on it. But anyway, we ended up having quite a bit of information for the show today. Before we get started, say hello to Steve out in Kentucky, to Kenneth up in Pennsylvania. There's Sunny down in Mississippi. There's Joanne, says Happy Donut Day. And one of our ex-people, I can't read that. Anyway, one of our ex-peoples there says, hey. All right, guys, today is, one story day. And this is an in-depth story. It's longer than the regular news snippet. It's a pretty detailed story on Puerto Rico. And can they handle this wave of tourism that they're undergoing? That and lots more here at 11 o'clock this morning. In addition to Donut Day, as Joanne says, it's also Fat Tuesday, the last day of Carnival and the day before Ash Wednesday for you folks that are Catholic in nature. Fat Tuesday is the intertwining of a period of festivals and feasts that lead to a time of fasting and reflection, also known as Shrove Tuesday and Mardi Gras. This enduring celebration has many traditions and deep roots around the world. And this day in history, Thomas Jefferson becomes the first president to be inaugurated in Washington, D.C. That's the same Thomas Jefferson that's summer home is just a half mile through the woods over here from the farm. And I swear the oak at the back door of the house, which is about 300 years old, was planted by Thomas Jefferson. I have no idea if that's true or not, but it makes for a good story. If you're listening via the podcast, you can always access the podcast via my blog, which is accessadventure.net, or wherever you get your podcasts from. All the big guys, Spotify, HeartRadio, Podchaser, Apple Podcast, any of them. Just search for Travel and Cruise Industry News, and that pops the fat guy. We do this regularly Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Of late, I've been doing it every day. I'm not going to get back in the habit of doing a daily show. But when I have a full show, I'll go on and do some extra shows. And when I get back on the Epic here, come the end of the month, I'll be doing some live streams, some Facebook lives. We'll be doing quite a bit of things once we get back to sailing again, and sailing under a little healthier situation. So, but at any rate, feel free to join us anytime. Now, I mentioned that I had a number of things loaded for yesterday that I wanted to get to it um, before the show today. Remember our friend Rona Nicholson? Rona Nicholson from um, Scotland? Well, she's been in the country here for a few days. Wanted to go to South Fork Ranch in Dallas, and she did. So the Scottish lass comes to Dallas and has to go to South Fork. And she said that's something she's always wanted to do. And you remember our buddy Allison? Allison stuck in there to go to the bathroom. You might find Bobby in the shower. I said, yeah, no, that ain't going to happen. But anyway, that's the South Park. What's it called? South Park Ranch. South Fork Ranch. Got to get my tongue straight this morning. The South Fork Ranch. Of course, that was for years and years and years and years that we all Dallas. So, all right. So the next thing on the agenda here, we'll slide up from that to, oh, that's the kitchen at the ranch. And that's Bobby's bedroom there. Okay. All right. So the last thing that we left Bethany was in Brunei. And this was the Omar Ali Soifuddin Mosque in Brunei. And then she had a day at sea. Now, I'm a day behind on this, folks, so I got to do some catching up with Bethany. But she did a day at sea, and they did an Oscar thing on the ship to celebrate the Oscars, which was pretty cool. And then following that, she did go to the pool and took a refreshing dip in the pool. I have a feeling that it was, I don't know, it could have been warm enough to be outdoors, but I have a feeling it might have been an indoor pool. But anyway, that's Bethany. And Bethany I did see some formal night was either last night or the night before. So I got some catching up to do with Bethany. All right, but that catches up for what I should have had on the show yesterday and failed to. So, all right, I'll be back with our in-depth story for today, the first episode, first part of that, after a quick break from one of our fine network sponsors. Our in-depth story for the day deals with Puerto Rico handling the waves of tourists. It's taken from an article by Josh Rivera for the USA Today. On any given Friday, La Placita in the neighborhood of San Teresi in San Juan is packed with partygoers drinking on the street shoulder to shoulder as they hop from one bar to another. It's a cacophony of music and smells with numerous restaurants interspersed in what is otherwise a marketplace during the day. At a glance, it's emblematic of Puerto Rican culture, a community enjoying music, food, and dancing under the stars. When you look closer, you can hear the music is often a track taken from U.S. Top 40 hits. The drinks are imported beer, and the food is some sort of Puerto Rican treat with an American twist. Your ears perk up when you hear Spanish because almost everyone around you is a tourist. La Placida, which used to be a local haven and a tourist area, has been through a transformation. It's not a surprise to locals, and it shouldn't shock travelers. Just this past year, the island welcomed over 6.6 million air passengers, a record-breaking 8% increase from the previous year, according to Discover Puerto Rico. The island's hospitality sector grew 5%. Many places around the world are grappling with the effect of over-tourism. European countries have added tourist fees to popular spots. Some cruise lines are opting for smaller ports of call, and even Hawaiians have called for a curb in visitors. We're not opposed to tourism, we want it, but it has to be responsible, said Nilda Garcia, president of the ecological organization Coalición Pro Corredor Ecológico de Noreste, in an interview with USA Today. Tourism's economic impact on Puerto Rico is undeniable. The sector contributed $7.6 billion to the island's GDP last year, representing 6.6% of the total economy. Comparatively, tourism represented about 17% of Hawaii's economy in 2023. However, Puerto Rico's rapid growth also raised concerns about sustainability, environmental degradation, and cultural erosion. With an influx of visitors, many of whom were still concentrated in the San Juan metro area, Puerto Rico is at a crossroads. How does it sustain this growth while preserving its rich heritage and fragile ecosystems?
Be on one of the first MSC ships to go to Alaska when we sail May 25th, 2026 on the MSC Poesia round trip from Seattle. 7 nights going to Ketchikan, Icy Strait Point, Juneau, and Tracy Arm Fjord, and a stop in Victoria, Canada on the way back to Seattle. Inside cabin start at $849 per person, balcony from $1289 per person. The MSC Poesia going to Alaska. Why not join us? I promise you we'll have a great time. Just call me 434-258-9264 and we'll cruise with Chillie to Alaska.
For years, Puerto Rico's tourism marketing focused heavily on its capital. Locals still remember Puerto Rico, La Hace Mayor campaign inviting them to be welcoming to foreigners. Now there's a conscious effort to maintain the same hospitality while shifting away from crowded areas. Discover Puerto Rico, the island's destination marketing organization, launched initiatives to educate visitors about lesser-known regions, aiming to decentralize tourism from popular areas like Old San Juan and El Yunque. The latest campaign encourages travelers to go beyond the beaches and engage with Puerto Rican culture, whether through gastronomy of Kiev, heritage tourism in Ponce, or adventure travel to the Central Mountains. The strategy is working. While 66% of travelers stay in the metro urban area, according to Discover Puerto Rico, 39% of visitors now explore the island's east coast, 29% venture south, and another 29% head west. This is about changing perceptions. Davlin Tardy, Public Relations Director of Discover Puerto Rico, told USA Today, "We are not an inclusive Caribbean resort destination. We have history, culture, art, and traditions that we want visitors to experience firsthand. Efforts to support small businesses and community tourism have also been critical. Through town halls and roundtable discussions, Discover Puerto Rico said it has provided training on digital marketing, social media, and visitor engagement to help local businesses adapt to the rising number of tourists. In Loiza, for example, Sheila Osorio, founder of Taller de Bamba Zombie, a Bamba dance school, got social media and translation support and now attracts visitors from around the world. As visitor numbers climb, so do concerns about environmental sustainability. Ecotourism means more than just being in nature. It means respecting it, Garcia said. The Northeast Corridor, home to lush forests and a nesting ground for the endangered leatherneck turtle, has been one of the areas most affected by unregulated tourism. Visitors leaving trash, venturing into restricted areas, and using off-road vehicles in protected zones have become growing issues.
We have the equipment you need to stay mobile. Whether you need a wheelchair, scooter, power chair, rollator, oxygen, or other pieces of mobility equipment, Scootaround, powered by Will, can help. Once you've booked your rental, we can deliver it to wherever you need. For your mobility needs, contact me or call Scootaround at 888-441-7575. Use SRN 11137 for the best rates.
Constantly educate visitors about respecting nature, but many still ignore signs and warnings, Garcia said. We've seen ATVs tearing through sand dunes and even horse tracks over the turtle nests. It's heartbreaking. To combat this, community organizations are pushing for stronger regulations on tour operators, both local and foreign owned, and stricter enforcement of environmental protections. Tourism should not just serve visitors, it should work for the people who live here year-round, Garcia added. Small businesses have already embraced a more responsible approach to ecotourism. Roca Norte Climbing Gym in Vega Baja and Finca Gaia in Dorado have incorporated sustainable tourism models, integrating agro-tourism, conservation, and cultural immersion experiences. These efforts align with Puerto Rico's tourism company's sustainable tourism program, which ensures that businesses meet environmental and ethical standards. The biggest impact of tourism isn't just waste or pollution, it's cultural, Arturo Mazadea, director of community-based organization Casa Pueblo, told USA Today. When visitors come without integrating, they create a kind of contamination. While tourism brings economic benefits, it also has a rising cost for the locals. And towns like Luquillo or Rincon on opposite sides of the island, where tourism has boomed, housing prices and the cost of living have surged, making it harder for residents to afford homes. Many tourists don't just visit, they come with the intention of buying property, Maisol, they added. This drives up land prices and displaces locals. The once affordable food kiosks along the beachfront are now dominated by high-end restaurants catering to tourists, leaving many locals feeling priced out of their own communities. We love welcoming visitors, but we live here year-round, said Maisol Daya, whose organization hosts tourists looking to volunteer in local communities and learn from sustainable practices. It's great that businesses are thriving, but when a simple breakfast is suddenly out of our price range, it makes you question who tourism is really serving. This mirrors concerns in Hawaii, where more native Hawaiians now live in mainland U.S. than on the islands, and a growing number of residents have pushed for regulations on short-term rentals and foreign property buyers to protect local housing markets. Puerto Rico hasn't introduced similar policies yet. Puerto Rico is at a pivotal moment, with an 82% of Puerto Ricans supporting tourism as an economic driver, according to Discover Puerto Rico's ongoing research. The challenge is ensuring that growth does not come at the expense of culture, affordability, or the environment. If we don't regulate tourism, the environment will be damaged, and in the end, everyone loses, Garcia said. We don't want a tourism of detachment where people just enjoy the beaches and leave without understanding Puerto Rico, Mesa Aldea said. Tourism should create long-term relationships with the island, not just a collection of Instagram photos. Puerto Rico's identity as a tourist destination is evolving, with an added boost from local artists with global recognition like Bad Bunny or Daddy Yankee. Beyond its white, black, or golden sand beaches and historic forts, the island has the opportunity to carve out a new role as a model for responding to travel, one where visitors don't just take from the island, but give back to it. Indulge in the sights and sounds and flavors of New England. With the guidance of local experts, explore charming ports. Step back in time as you marvel at the opulent mansions of the Gilded Age and soak in the stunning landscapes that make this region so special. Along the way, entertainers will enrich your experience with lively programs and performances. After a day of discovery, unwind on your private balcony, taking in breathtaking views of tranquil harbors, quaint villages, and picturesque seaside towns. Enjoy New England from American Cruise Lines. For more information, call 434-258-9264. American Cruise Lines in New England. All right, that ends the news portion of today's show. Well, it wasn't really the news portion. It was an in-depth story on Puerto Rico. That ends that portion of the show today. How's that? And some catch-up. All right, so let's go over and see who's in the chat room fussing at me this morning. Said hello to everybody to start with. Joanne, Sunny. Okay, so let me see if I can see that on the different monitor. That looks like Kuo from X, maybe Tuo from X. It's hard to read that. But anyway, the X folks, we still have never gotten StreamYard to show everybody else in the chat room what the X people are leaving in the chat. I can see it, but the rest of the chat room can't. So I try to relate to it. Kenneth and Steve are here. So there's Cindy. Hi, Sin. Joanne says, picking up 4 dozen donuts on my lunch break for the prayer group ladies tonight. Very nice. Amy says, so good to see you in person. Thanks, Amy. I just don't, I don't like doing it with the oxygen, but I'm going to do it. Todd says, good morning, everyone. Nice surprise to see the show. See you on the show today. Yes, thank you, Todd. Cindy says, sounding good, Chillie. Yeah, obviously, there's still a little graveliness in my voice. I'm still not 100% back strength-wise. I get tired. I take naps. Hi there, Tom. had a message from me yesterday, and I was sound asleep. And when he woke me up, and I didn't even get the answer out straight. So I had to call him back and straighten it out. But yeah, so I'm not back 100% yet. I'm getting there. I'm feeling a lot better. I went out and ran some errands yesterday. First time I've been out in the house, out of the house, other than the doctor appointment, since this whole mess started. And yeah, I have, as Katie says toward the end down here, I've done a bunch of shows, which is partially because I'm catching up on the shows I missed, because I missed a whole bunch in there for those couple weeks, but also because I've been busy. I've had an adequate content to put the shows out. So as long as the content keeps flowing, I like doing these in-depth stories. Yes, they take me some time, but I'm not pushed to do them either. They're normally not time sensitive. I'm going to continue doing interviews. I probably won't do an interview and an in-depth story on the same day. That would be probably taking too much time. But anyway, yeah, so that's going to continue. I like getting my teeth into a little deeper story, and it's generally with the help of another writer that I'm using their information, giving them credit for it, and then adding some to it myself. Cindy said, had an excellent visit in Puerto Rico last week. Beautiful country. Glad they are rising above the terrible comments made about them. Yeah, I agree. I've always enjoyed Puerto Rico, although I sometimes fuss, and rightly so in my situation, about their lack of accessibility in some areas. In other areas, it's fine, but some of it, boy, it's tough. And I realize that that's something that comes in time. And they're not at the same point we are here in the States. And so, but anyway, yeah, I'll continue going to Puerto Rico, and I'll continue. I've never been to El Yunque. I need to get some kind of accessible transportation just to go to El Yunque. I know I can't get down in the water. I know I can't crawl up the waterfall. I know all those things, but I could get to that picture that I showed earlier. I could get to up there where I'm looking at it and taking pictures of it, and maybe doing some selfie work with the El Yunque in the background. I got to do that my next trip to Puerto Rico. See if I can't find some kind of accessible transportation. Maybe I have to go hunting it, but we'll see. Katie says, good morning to everyone. Sonny says, Hawaii is saddest stories of native Hawaiians losing their lands. I completely agree, Sonny. Good point. Wow, Chillie, you must be feeling better to handle all these shows. Yes, Katie, I'm definitely well on the mend. Not there yet. And yes, I don't like doing this with stupid oxygen in my nose, but I'm going to. Counting down the days, Chillie, to meet you in New York. Yes, indeed, Kenneth. Looking forward to it. I just pretend your oxygen is a nose ring and it will become fashionable. Yeah, well, Amy, that's a little difficult for me to pretend, but I get your point. And I know all of you guys know that I'm on oxygen, and it's not going to offend any of you. It just bothers me. And it's the same thing back when I first got to go back to cruising. that I wouldn't do it as long as I had a catheter and was carrying around a bag of pee. If I'm sure people on cruise ships could have cared less, especially if you keep it hidden, but I cared. So sometimes you just got to overcome your disability, and that's one of them. So I didn't want to do this on live. Now I've made myself get over it, and I'll go on with it. So, but yeah, no, I'm not going to pretend it's a damn nose ring. That's going way too far, Amy. Way too far. I love the thought though. So, all right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for today. Again, I hadn't counted on doing a show. And who knows, tomorrow I could have absolutely no news and we'll have a 5-minute show and say goodbye. But it sure hadn't been that way lately. All right, guys, that's going to wrap me up for today. As always, smash that thumbs up button. If you haven't subscribed, please take this as my invitation to do so. That helps the channel out a lot. And join us tomorrow, same time, same channel, for more of this silliness. As always, stay safe, stay healthy, think about cruising, and hopefully one day soon we'll all get together on the high seas, just like Hot Air Tom and Kenneth and who else? Gary, and can't remember who else is going to be on that cruise. Are going to be Miriam. Anyway, looking forward to it. Come the 31st of March on the transatlantic for the epic. It's going to be epic. All right, guys, that's it for today. See everybody back here tomorrow. Have a great day, everybody.
I regularly post videos on all facets of the travel and cruise industry. So if you like to keep up with the latest in cruise ships, ports of call, cruises themselves, chilly chats, and travel and cruise industry news, just hit the little subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner, hit the bell notification so you'll be notified when a new video is up or we go live. This video was produced by Chillie's Cruises.